The Out There channel.
Please sub and share.
Searching for the truth. UFOs, aliens, greys and ufology. Real images, real stories, real videos, real cases, researched and investigated by professionals in the field and cutting-edge discoveries. Multiple witnesses, abduction accounts brought to you by Team The Out There channel. Good to be back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Yo. It's another late one, but we'll see how we go. Looks like everything's working. Everything. Not think. The English sloppy thing. Language. Hard to get rid of it. And the ums, which is a Kiwi thing. Too many ums. So, who's out there? Anybody? So we're going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch, the final, and their claims. So yeah, I had a bit of research on that, on the technology they're using and stuff. I see GUFON spreading the disinformation for them now. What an idiot that guy is. Nick, how's it going? Haven't we seen you here before? The name seems to ring a bell. Yeah, so this is the real truth in ufology. Not the other one that claims to be. This channel is never associated with any frauds and doesn't promote frauds. And if I did have a fraud on, they would be interviewed. Yep, I have been here before. Just chilling here, super late in Norway. Alright. And New Zealand's starting to feel like Norway at the moment. It's icy cold in the house, 12 degrees Celsius. That's cold for us. We should put the heaters on, which cost an arm and leg. I think power bills are like $600 already. And it's only like a month, is it? $600 a month plus. Mum likes to have the aircon on all the time. So, you know, money is relative to the country, I guess. So 600 would be like 600 American dollars if they had the same sort of power bill. But yeah, heat pumps are not the best way to always go, I suppose. So not lots of natural gas that seems to go to waste in the world, I reckon. But they're trying to ban everything, aren't they? I don't think you can get rid of it yet. That's why they changed it from climate change to, global warming to climate change, because it's damn freezing cold. It's not super hot, but it is in UK at the moment, apparently, in Spain, 45 degrees Celsius. That's getting too extreme. Once it gets over 30, it's just too hot. Suffocates you. So yeah, we've got a few things to go over. What was that one about? Stupid GUFON. We'll go through some of the stupid claims that he's making. And some bullshit that I come into. Maybe I'll talk about that first. So, I had a dash of copyright claims. And all, the one with the X-Files I did on New Zealand X-Files 5 years ago now. It's finally got a copyright claim on it, claiming this New Zealand singer singing the Maori anthem, and New Zealand Maori anthem had legal rights to my episode because of a 1 minute music sample that I played. And this is how stupid Google is. That's why people are moving away from it. They're like lapdogs for the music industry, probably because they make lots of money from it themselves. So I put a counterclaim in saying it's fair use, which it is. It's free advertising for them, right? But no, they rejected it, so I ended up muting it. And the funny thing is, I only muted the stuff that's actually in the context ID base, and there's like a minute clip of the song at the end, which I play in both cases, and that's not protected, so it left it in. So muting out of it wasn't really significantly damaging to the episodes, and it got rid of the claim. They would have made... Nope, sounds like my watch phone's just run out of battery, it's auto shutting down. I have to put it on charge later. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, so she would have made 30 cents out of it, right? Because it's only got about 100 views on it, which is ridiculous. Again, is also to get copyright claim and have it rejected by some punk that's meant to be in charge of the copyright in America that doesn't understand what fair use is. It's stupid that they don't allow music to be fair used because it benefits them. But they sued Trump over using some music, didn't they? They're just hypocrites, the music industry. The artist loses out in the end. So I put this one in here for another one, which was, what was the music now? Yeah, that's right, the Music Jam one. Remember I did my AI and Music Jam? Well, the samples are in it all public domain, right? Because it comes with the app, it's free on Windows, and it says in the license that unless you're selling the songs commercially, which I'm not, I used it as a free, like an educational demo. They put a copyright claim on me, and I said no, that's fair use, it's educational, and it should be taken to court otherwise, and they released it. So I still bitch to Google, but Google support's useless. They just say use the online help system, so the help is useless. It's cut and paste, useless, instead of taking it, escalating it to a manager and stuff. So the national anthem should be public domain anyway, even regardless of who sings it, should be. But turns out when I read the New Zealand thing, they said parts of the anthem can be copyright under certain circumstances. So that leaves it sort of wishy-washy, right? And that allows any scammer to then get that music uploaded and put some crappy video, a graphic video with it, this random public video, and scam you. because they could use that clause. Some of it can be copyrighted under certain circumstances. So these are the type of claims you get here, like this one here. So that's the national anthem one. Route note. Oh no, that's the Music Jam one, sorry. Which I got it released about 5 minutes later. Okay, the new claim is New Zealand National Anthem. So wasting time, fight that one now. As reads here. So that was the thing about National Anthem. Let's just open that up. So, protocols. So it's part of the New Zealand government. Using both anthems, Maori and English versions. You may use both anthems at the same occasion, but usually one is the most appropriate to the event. Here we go. There are no guidelines for performing God Defend New Zealand. You're allowed to arrange the anthems, but you can't change the words. Copyright. There is no copyright restriction in relation to use of the national anthem, God Defend, passed into public domain in the 1980s. However, copyright does apply to arrangements and recordings of the national anthem, including the MPs found on our sound files. Commercial reuse permission of rights holder will be required. So they talk about parts of it being the public domain, and then you have to ask permission. Isn't that confusing? See, that should be scrapped. That's just absolute nonsense. That, you know, you could use a national anthem and then someone could take control of all your videos. No, that shouldn't happen. So that's the problem. It said on the thing, which I didn't take a snapshot of, that it's partially copyrighted and cannot be played in certain regions, which means they could limit the episode being shown worldwide, right? Just on that clause alone, if they take full control of it. So you don't get so they can monetize it, make money from it, and limit it in countries they choose, which is the reason why I hate this copyright control. You know, I could let it slide because I'm not worried about 30 cents, and whether they get further clicks, ad money from it, despite I'm a small channel anyway, and that video's been up for 5 years and they put a copyright claim on it. That's just ridiculous. You know, this is why I rant a lot, because the system is stupid, and Americans are stupid, and the Americans implement these stupid rules. There should be, you know, should be fair use regardless, and it doesn't even mention about here fair use. And no, you got to pay something if it's a special arrangement, permission, rights holder. I think the singer in it, the Maori singer in it, the female singer, would have been quite happy just to let it ride, right? But no, she's got a middleman in charge of collecting her money, so she's now got 30 cents richer out of it, while I've had to deface my video. Yeah, I never thought Anthem would be a problem, but there it is. Yeah, the Maori sing every time they play a football match. Yeah, but they get paid millions of dollars out of it. So this is how useless support is. Hey there, it looks like you already filed and received info on your counter notification. Yeah, they rejected it, you dopey bastards. If you think the channel is a violation of YouTube's guidelines, which I think they are, you can flag them for review. And then it takes you to a stupid help page where you have to select things that never goes anywhere. Is that the one? Oh, right, that's the other one there, but it hasn't got the other screen that I was talking about. That was the X-Files one with the Anthem music. And it's this Believe Music. If you Google Believe Music, you find all these complaints about them. After a new dispute, Believe has decided that the copyright claim is still valid. So that's some dork in America that wants to collect 30 cents of revenue from a video. Instead of just saying, oh yeah, it's fair use, let's let it go. You know, there's no common sense, it's just pure greed. Anyway, enough on that one. That's why I prefer to write my own music now, and that's what you hear now, mostly of my music. Plus a German guy, which he's given me permission anyway. And I actually paid him for a license and he refunded it, which was good. And so I just gave him $20 back as a donation. I said, look, you deserve some anyway, because I've been using it for the last 6 years. There's $20. So, and I just took a snapshot of that, of his emails and stuff, just in case it turns nasty again. So it's like this nonsense with the logo with security, right? But he purposely stole it from, knowingly stole it from the Chinese artist and started making lots of money on t-shirts and videos out of it. And it's not the same. But he was saying that the alien was also public domain, right? That the alien head is public domain now, which I don't know if it's true or not. So Alienware is using a public domain alien head, and the only thing that's legal is the trademark. I don't know, it's kind of stupid to me, stupid argument that he was having with Lions Ground over that. It's totally different than using a music clip. So yes, some money exchanged hands and got paid off, and he got kept his sight, you know. But it's really, Google should really step in on those ones and say, nah, let it go, it's fair use, you dupe. You're only going to get 30 cents out of it. You know, common sense, guys. You're not, what's those big PewDiePies and who are the other ones that are big? Paul Logan, not channels big like that, making $40,000 every episode to $1 million episode. That's what Secure Team was hoping. Remember, he added his face to Paul Logan. A Paul Logan photograph. And was found on one of those UK rags, linking to it. So he had ideas of grandeur. He also put it on his Facebook page, I think. No, Twitter. Anyway, enough on that. Let's move on to the Skinwalker Ranch stuff. Hey Gabba, how's it going? Ouch, yeah, indeed. This is the crap you have to put up with being a creator. It should be like pay $20 per year license, take care of all that bullshit for you, shouldn't it? So if you get a claim, Google pays them $1 from that $20 and dismisses it, you know, because they're making more money than the claim would earn anyway, and then it gives you legal right to use it therefore onwards, and that would be good, you know. Or have a process or pre-approve episode before making it public. Go through a process, check the music, all the rights, you know, and don't wait 5 years later to then take all your earnings of a video. That shouldn't happen anyway, because it was like 1 minute of a 20-minute episode on that one. That was part of a documentary I did. So what's 1/20 as a percentage? That's their cut they should have got, which would have been about 5 cents probably. That's how it should work. It should be working fairly if you're going to apply all this bullshit. That's what should happen. Yeah, okay. Anyway. So, yeah, puts all your blood sugars up, that does. So, yeah, we've got Skinwalker snaps to go over, so we might as well do a review on that one. So, there was a few things at the end I added on, I think. Yeah, so they brought this hypocrite on, who hates debunkers, who works with frauds. He's meant to be an investigative journalist, and you can't trust the guy anymore. Remember 6 years ago I approached George Knapp and said, look, do you want a big story? I've got evidence here that security team has been faking for years. He wasn't interested. Too much hassle for him. Palmed it off to above top secret. Oh, I'm friends with this website. Send it to them, they might publish an article. He wasn't interested in making it mainstream public news. Could have taken him out 6 years ago with the leaker stuff, right? Big UFO channel caught faking. Here's the evidence, interviewing himself with a fake voice. And it's also alleged that he does photoshops and CGI from other big debunker channels. No, can't do that because that would be too truthful. Anyway, can't say how much I hate this guy now. Move on to the next one. So what they did is they hired this guy, I don't know what his name was now, expensive drone he's got. Remember they had all this problems with the drones previously, that they couldn't control them and they'd lose signal to them. Well, obviously what they do here is they're going to use it like a photographic machine, and it just goes in a grid and takes snapshots of the ground in high res. You know it's going to have problems, right? Because they always have problems with drones and other things in the sky because of the radiation bursts of microwave energy they're getting, which is what the radio control circuits use. You know, and Wi-Fi and for internet and all that sort of stuff, it all uses microwave at different energy states, which they call channels on your Wi-Fi router anyway. So you know straight away it's going to be problems. There should be some problems with it. So even if he programmed it to be a flight path instead of remote control, it should go up and do its thing and then come back down to land. That's less likely to be a problem, which apparently we didn't see it flying around and see if there was any problems. That probably part of it got clipped out because they don't want to show you that you can't trust the data from it. Right, we didn't see anything like that in the show of it going up and flying back and forth. Even a minute clip. That's kind of weird, I thought. So I thought something's going to go down in this show. Sure it did. So let's just go through and start again. So these are the images they got back. It's like Google Street View. You can go overhead and also the level of the drone flying around, right? Which is what Google Earth needs because they've only got Street View, but they haven't got Drone View. And you want to be at that sort of height of the drone anyway, because a lot of people take their photographs from high rises and you can't sort of match up the terrain on when I was doing debunking on certain cases where people were in Las Vegas and they're filming UFOs, but they're up a high rise when they're doing it, and you can't get the right alignments to prove that it was an antenna or whatever. that they were capturing, antenna lights, you know, flashing lights on antennas. So this is what they got. This anomaly pops up every so often, and it's on the top of the mesa. Kind of looks like a tower, doesn't it? But it's not. So here's all these rocky stones, which some of it looks like it was dumped there by man. So it's made up of all these little high-res images which are stitched together, and they can then use it, you know, different angles, stitch it all together, so you get a really high-res of the terrain. And sure enough, started getting strange things appearing. But when you start looking at it, which is not high enough, that one's too far away to get detail. Let's just keep on going. And they found this other one here. Is it the same one? Let's look at a different part of the mesa, because the other one was over here, wasn't it? And that one's now in the triangle, is it? Oh, it's a portal. It proves the portal. Well, they didn't say there was a portal on top of the mesa. They always said it was in the triangle. But if you have a look at these ones, you can start to see the little squares of various colours that seem to match the terrain below. So yeah, it had me thinking, how's this technology working, and what's the problems with it? And there's no one rotate it around and it gets thicker. So if it was really the same thing, why was it getting thicker? Kind of looks like artificial intelligence art, doesn't it? Like it's trying to create a tree. But you can again you can see it's all the same sort of squares, you know, pixel squares of the terrain below. And this is not a 4K image or anything. They would have been watching it on their screens in 4K. So this is actually a low-res snap. Pretty much, so that's why it looks more blocky. But you can see all this is all the same color of the terrain below. So that should be a aha moment. But they're blabbing on. That proves there's a portal and it stops at certain heights. No, it stops at a certain height, maybe because the height of the drone was flying. Travis didn't give any counteraction on this whole episode. I should have said spoiler alert before either as well, but it's only part of the show though. So there, they keep rotating it, and you can see it diminishes again. You can see the just various coloured squares. That looks very much like the terrain. No blue, no red. Just blacks and greys. There's another one. Looks like artwork, doesn't it? So you can see it's artifacts. Straight away you can see it's artifact. It doesn't prove there's something there. And the reason why is probably because the data got corrupted in that location where there's high microwaves being emitted from the sky or ground. But they're saying, oh look, it proves there's a doorway to a portal. Reptilian confetti. Well, you could say it's reptilian turds from space. On to the next one. Now the next one is the Stonehenge they got there. That's Indian artwork of stones arranged in a Stonehenge thing. that will line up with solar plexus and all that sort of stuff. Heaven, where the sun rises and the moon sets, sort of stuff. Oh look, we got another portal. Or is it the same one? No, it can't be the same one. But again, you can see it's all random blocks. Looks like photographs. Little photographs that have been sprinkled in the air. And they've lost the actual position of the ground. So is there little black holes where all those ones go? Perhaps there is. Looks like there's some black holes. Black holes all around, see? I reckon they're meant to be down there. But for some reason they end up there because the GPS data got corrupted. Or the algorithm has a problem. But yeah, not the really high quality images, but they've got rocks here. They said, oh, move it around, see if the rocks line up and point towards it. Is that one again? We got two of them. So you got the one in the triangle, is it? I don't know, was it near the triangle? Wasn't terribly clear because they didn't fly upwards and then look back down on the show. Else I would have taken a snapshot of it. So they're saying it's something invisible there that we can't see, but the technology detected it, which is a load of cobblers. Technology has the problem. And I see the shill GUFON is saying, oh no, that's really interesting episode. Look at this, it's a structure. Was it a portal there? Bollocks. First thing I thought, here they go, they're trying to line up the rocks around the stone circle. Oh look, a rock lines up with it. Of course a rock will line up with anything if you rotate it around. That rock there is pointing to that rock there. Oh look, it's the two portals overlying each other. You know, they got this one here in the circle, the one in the distance. No, it's just corrupted data lining up. And this is a real close-up one. You can see the square blocks of maybe even missing data, a bit like you get on Google Earth, you know, with the stitching errors and artifacts that occur. Exactly the same process. And you can see here they're taking it off the screen, so the quality is not going to be as good as what the original got. You can see his cursor there. That's not mine. There's mine there. But yeah, look, this square blocks of missing data. Oh, portals. So you can see how it's done. And the drone has gone back and forth, taking thousands and thousands of images and tried to stitch them together. And of course, certain ones have got errors in them. So yeah, back to that one again. That's bulk of the episode, and them sitting around in his office reviewing the data, and they're saying, oh, look at this, does that prove a portal? And I think it does. Old Brandon was getting so excited, all the evidence, you know, the floating spider and the satellite and the plane flying overhead. Whatever it was, Iridium satellite. Whatever it wasn't a UFO. Why no video? Copyright? We've just been over copyright. You know, Hollywood and USA. If you play the video, it gets actually picked up by the bot. But if you do screen snapshots, it doesn't get picked up. It's part of the process. Is that answer? Yeah. So I had to storyboard it and show you that way. Anything to do with Discovery Channel, Travel TV, They don't understand what fair use is, and of course what I'm showing you here, they could justify it just destroys the episode ending, even though if you say spoiler alert on it, which I tend to forget anyway. If you haven't watched the show beforehand and you see my title, Skinwalker Ranch Portal, you know you watch the show before you watch my episode, right? It should be common sense anyway. There's going to be a spoilers in it. Yeah. People were telling me off. You should have said spoiler, you know, for movies or whatever. But it wasn't in the title, I must admit, so it's slightly different. But yeah, at least I got it in the title. So yeah, so I did some investigation in technology. It was called Drone Photogrammetry. How'd you say that word? What's it say there? How drone photos turn into 3D surveys. Photogrammetry. Grammetry. So anyway, take tens of thousands of photographs of terrain with a high-spec camera and then join it all together. So I was reading up these articles on it. What is it? So this, at the most basic, is the science of measuring real-life distances from photos. And the photo has a portal. What are you talking about? You mean up here? Oh, right, it has little square blocks. Yeah. Data errors. No. So yeah, I looked at different sites. So I was going to read out that one. Fails and Issues, Part 1. So I found all this about the technology. What's that one there? Creating a field-wide forage canopy model using UAVs and photogrammetry processing. And what's the other one? Strengths and limitations of photo thing. So this is what should be on the show anyway. It should have some skeptic on there saying, well, yeah, it's a known artifact. Shouldn't be then just ignored and have George Knapp on there saying, oh yeah, someone saw a portal open up above Skinwalker Ranch, which is one of the stories he was telling, and saw like another world behind. So that's one of the stories of Skinwalker Ranch, and that sounds, oh yeah, you might have evidence of where the portal is. Bullshit. And it's totally different. It's not evidence at all. It's just evidence of errors. So let's go through it. I had to do all the reading on this. It's horrible. And not just some photos, a lot of photos. More photos than you probably think are necessary. Think of your parents taking photos of you and your date before prom. More photos equal higher accuracy, and you need every single thing. It's like your parents taking photos of all your pimples on your face up close, then reassembling your face from all those photos. That's what I would have said. So here's a drone with a camera underneath. Not as good as that one that guy had though. What we got going on here? I thought, Gabba, you had a spanner. Let's give you a spanner, shall we? So you don't have all that problem. Add moderator. There you go. You got moderation. Okay, I shouldn't have to show you comments anymore. And let's see, whereabouts are we? The LIGO has a portal. Portals have lights. Oh, they have a big hole. Hole that's showing the difference between one sky to another sky. Else you wouldn't see it, would you? And are supposed to be lit like holographic inside, like liquid lights. Little squares don't sort of work it for you then, because it doesn't for me. Skinwalker Ranch are the biggest bunch of idiots. They are. They're meant to be like PhD guys, right? And they're just a laugh. I'd love to play clips from the movie and just have a laugh along from the TV show, I mean. And just laugh at each episode as we break it down, like we do with all the other channels, but of course for copyright, because it's not a YouTube streamed by, and then they've gone to commercial TV so they can make lots of money out of it. See, this is where Brandon went wrong. He commercialized it, which was the wrong thing to do. What he should have done is gone around all the channels, promoted it, and uploaded it to his own YouTube channel and just put ads on it, and maybe sold behind the scenes options and all that sort of stuff. Probably make more money out of it, and then he could then sold the package deal from his channel to Discovery to use it, which some channels do, you know, with ghost hunting. Looks like bird poop, yeah, alien poop from the sky. They have PhD in bullshit. Yeah, they haven't got any evidence of UFOs. You know, they haven't done any analysis on it. They haven't brought in the Mick West like the other TV show. Proof is out there. They haven't brought out anyone that, you know. I do CC Brandon my shows, but he won't like what I have to say. Especially when you see the very final episode of how wrapped up in all the evidence that Travis is claiming is real, which I believe he's a government shield now because he works for the Pentagon. And the name Skinwalker always makes me think of Full Skins. Who are you? You can't say that sort of thing on side chat. They are making it all up. Yeah, it's a fantasy channel. I think someone's pranking them and they don't know what a prank is. You know, they don't know what a balloon is. Like I showed you last episode anyway. See, to be a serious researcher, you got to be in the middle ground, right? And you got to follow the evidence. Straight away, you see Travis on the show, see this thing being broadcast, a UFO on the screen. There's a UFO that's moving too fast for a satellite. Or it's plane or whatever. You know, he doesn't go and check it in the apps. And then the guy on the show in this meeting says, "Oh, there was no plane in the sky. Wasn't on any of my software." Yeah, well, did he check out all the other packages online? Because you can't just rely on your own software. You know, there's no planes in the 4Ks around the ranch, yeah, but there's a distant plane 200 kilometers away that you can see at night time with all its lights on, and it's flying away, and it's going to gradually fade into a cloud which you can't see because it's 100 miles away. You know, they don't understand that. You know, you can't see a cloud in the darkness of nights 100 kilometers away, but you can see a plane lights if it's if the right atmospherics exist, and you could definitely, a camera would pick it up better than your eyes, because they didn't see it with their eyes, but they picked it up with the camera, and you can see it's moving away fairly fast, which would be like a distant plane flying into a cloud cover. They didn't prove anything. Had a drone, serious problems getting it up. Yeah, I had a remote control helicopter. It was really hard to control, losing signal all the time. And it interferes with the house Wi-Fi too if you use one of those controllers. Because it puts out a stronger signal than the Wi-Fi. Screws up the internet. My infrared camera picks up satellites up to 1600 kilometers away, does it? That's a fair distance. I guess it would depend on the weather thing. Yeah, so this is what I brought up in the past. Remember the rancher saw this big cigar-shaped thing over the mesa, and he took a picture on his smartphone. And I said to him, "Oh, that looks like one of those short contrails of a distant plane about 100 kilometers away." You know, they form very quickly and then they disperse, the contrails. And Brandon actually replied to me and said maybe. So even he had doubts about it. I could almost take a photograph of UFO taking off from New Zealand. Maybe. I'd like to put it to the test though. How does the drone photometry work? And you got pictures of it here. Photograph it in real life. I'm just trying to find the ones with the errors now and just show you how similar it looks. So that one's really explanation about it. So I'll just post a link to it. We could spend time reading it all out if we wanted to. I'll just close that one down. Okay, so this one is about the issues. So let's go through it. So this is a snapshot over a house. So do we see any problems with it? I'll just zoom in. What do you reckon? Do roofs look like that? Little squigglies in it? How about that? There. You can see all the individual square blocks in that one. So this is going to be a high-res accurate detail. And to me that looks like some sort of artwork. Look at that. See, that doesn't look right, does it? We'll keep on going. I'll have a look at the pictures first. Software settings. So what's wrong with that one? It's got little square blocks. Not looking really good, is it? Next one. Oh, look at that. A cathedral with artificial intelligence artwork on it. It's got missing bits that shouldn't even be there. And not aligned as well, up and down. Keep on going. Any more? I think there's a load more. Here's a house. So what's wrong with that one? The roof tiles again, is it? Can't see much wrong with that one. Right, footpath maybe. It's got little square grey bits. Yeah, looks like the roof is alright there, but I suppose it's not really lined up though. Look, it's all over the place. Squiggly. It's not. That one's a wee bit better. So it's not really high accuracy with all those photographs. Let's keep on going. So I was looking for ones that had columns, but unfortunately I couldn't find any online. So what's wrong with this one? Looking strange, doesn't it? Look at all those little grey blocks everywhere. Grey, black blocks. Far away it doesn't look too bad. But it looks very similar to the Mesa problem, isn't it? What's that at the top there? A square block at the top there. There's a doorway to another universe. Oh no, it's part of the program. It's just low res. Okay, it's part of the program. I thought there was a square block on the photograph. Okay, what else we got? Anyway, it doesn't look terribly great for lots of photographs anyway. To be continued. Next one. So I only done some quick research on it, which is more than they did on the show anyway. Maybe this one's got some more in it. What's happened? Was that the one? Okay, what have we got here? Oh, right, this is very similar to what they're getting. See there? Ground plane 1 and ground plane 2. One's up in the sky and one's not. See, there you go. Look at this one here. It's got some sort of invisible portal. So that proves to me that what they've got is just errors in the data, or the algorithm itself. It's where it's stitching it together. So I read somewhere they said there was a problem where there's too much similar colour in the terrain, and it's got to match it up, the square blocks with the terrain, or something like that. I don't know. I'll see if we can find it, where it goes wrong and it creates these strange structures that are not actually there. Has that one got anything in it? That's got missing blocks there, is it? I'm sort of drawing lines over it, so I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. What are they talking about here? It's not really high res though, is it? Maybe those lines that we're getting there are similar to what we get on Google Earth, right? And Google Moon and Google Mars, and everyone thinks there's real structures here. It's probably those lines shouldn't be there. There's drawn lines in between here where the drone's gone back and forth on a paddock, but the colours ranges are very similar, and when it stitches it together it goes wrong. So yeah, we need to read some of that. How do I get rid of that thing at the bottom? Last time I clicked it went there. I'm still doing it. Say accept and it goes somewhere else. That's weird. Anyway, I can't get rid of it. What have we got wrong with this one? That one looks a wee bit better. But it's got little black squares missing, look. The squares missing in the greenage. And look at that, it's all squiggly wiggly. The building's not going to look like that in real life, is it? So yeah, would I trust anything that this machine's meant to be telling us? No. This obviously needs to be improved on, the technology. They're busted, didn't they? No portal. Busted. Yep. Busted, alright. And that was me doing like 10 minutes research there. Strength and limitations. Here, let's see what this one's got. So there you go. It's talking about how it sort of maps it. And what's wrong with this one? Choo-choo train tracks, is it? Doesn't quite look right, does it? Oh look, what's that there? Some strange anomaly. It must be a portal. And there's an underground thing here. It goes underneath the tracks. That must be part of the portal. I could make bullshit up just as good as the TV channels can. Yeah, let's just go down. Was there any more? No. So what they saying here? It's a science of mission, real objects and terrain features from photographic, may be captured from cameras in the air, aerial, or on the ground. Well, it's a disaster if you ask me. So it needs a lot more work. What else they're saying? Captured from different locations. Angles, the resulting rays representing the line of sight from the camera to the point on the object. Mathematically reconstructed to produce 3D coordinates of the point. These 3D... Oh, why won't it go up? 3D coordinates produce a digital model of the real world object, allowing precise measurements of features, strengths, limitations. Okay, let's have a look at that side. Visibility constraints such as rain, fog, or dense vegetation cover can block the camera's line of sight or limit light required for clear photos. Poor weather conditions such as precipitation, wind can affect image capture and quality. Altitude of flight required to achieve high image resolution and accuracy may be restricted by terrain or built-up environment. Difficulty matching points between images with low contrast or uniformly textured surfaces, e.g. sand, yep, which is like the mesa, you know, that's all sort of all the same colour blocks. And dense vegetation, yep, we saw that with the farm picture above before. Short grass, yep, the mesa again. Right crops, water bodies, tight crops. So again, sounds to me like the terrain where the mesa is not ideal for this technology. So it's got more pros than cons. Full color models, data acquisition can be done without disrupting operations. Ability to capture data in remote, unsafe locations. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I think that last one is what they got caught on there with the portal, right? Limits. So when you get lots of grass, lots of sand, lots of similar tones, it can go wrong. And that's exactly what we saw. C is a common error in the tools. Yep. So yeah, to make a show, one episode talking about proof of portals. Even Travis, PhD guy, he's meant to have astrophysics, physics, what else he got? Maths. He's meant to have lots of degrees, like 5 degrees or something, masters and PhDs in each certain ones. What else he got? Electronics. Yeah, they just think he's just the bee's knees. Okay, what else we got here? There must have been a reason why I put it, but I'm not sure now. So it's talking about using drones. Unmanned aerial vehicles have gained much attention. All these studies use photogrammetry to combine the large number of visual blah blah blah. What was meant to be in this big story, but here's, I think this one, I just had the example here. I don't think there was anything in the writing about the artifact. Failed models from geometry process. A model that generated only a few scattered points. B, a model that generated 2 interesting ground planes. C, a side view of the interesting ground planes. So you can't quite see it here, and then I did a side view. Challenges in Creighton. What's that say? Alpha canopy models and questions from others. So it wouldn't be any good in the rainforest then, would it? 3D canopy. Experiment fields. Green lines. Okay, I did actually detect what they were looking at. I didn't actually read the caption. Green line shows UAV path, but you can see the actual lines in the photograph too. Mission to cover up the entire field there. S indicates the starting point. Field conditions, weed pressure, weed heads, weed pressure with low throughput. Also, it doesn't talk about microwave background radiation messing up the data. It doesn't talk about that. So, since they're getting similar errors to what Skinwalker Ranch claimed to be a portal or tower, is on theirs without the radiation issues, I would say the radiation didn't cause a problem this time. Or maybe it did. Maybe where the towers on the image is where the high level radiations were occurring. But that's what their claims are, but I'm not sure if that's the case, because one of the towers was on top of the mesa, and that's not where they've been firing rockets. And the other one didn't look like it was in the triangles it's saying, did it? It looked like it might have been near it. And the one near the Stonehenge they got there, whatever it's called, the Indian Stonehenge, which is meant to be aligned to portals. And then they get this portal on the image, they think, oh, it lines up because the stones point towards both of them. So that was their conclusion. To me, it just shows error, that's all. So that was the best one here. So we better post that one with a similar tower image. Just data error. So it's taken me, an independent, non-paid person, to actually research into this claim and actually tell you the truth today. All other UFO channels will be saying, here's the evidence, I got evidence finally. Skinwalker Ranch is great. The TV show, that is. Aspects. What's this one? Oh yes, a cathedral with strange bits on it. It's really weird looking. I wonder what it really looks like. They needed a side by side of a real picture with what they generated format and import. So I'll post that one too. There might be some other examples out there, but I didn't find it. Examples. Oh. There we go. So how long did it take me to go over that? 2 rants. Hour and a bit. Okay, on to the next thing. Which is GUFON for some reason. So let's have a look. I pointed the links there for a reason. Let me just bring up, correct my other screen. The last time I did this it went wrong. Didn't remember my start points.
Have some dinner.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Okay, so the big news is all about, what is it, the James Webb Telescope results. And you can see here, it's got artifacts in it. You can see it's got lens flare. Alright, so the iris, where you get it with the edges, the points on the shutters. So I guess it's got the same sort of problems that we got with our cameras on the ground as in space. And you got these stretched galaxies, they claim, of spots of light, these ones here. So they're going to blab on about space-time and it proves Einstein's theory, and I say bullshit. It doesn't prove that at all. And let's just play this.
So the first image is a deep field, and it's also a deep field with a cluster. So why don't we walk through this? It's a cluster, forget about it. So if we come up and look at this image, first of all, it's really gorgeous. Really? And it's teeming with galaxies. And that's something that has been true for every image we've gotten with
She's
Webb.
So cool.
We can't take blank sky. Everywhere
she
we look,
cool.
She's Jeremy Corbell's mom.
And so, you know, this galaxy,
she's weird looking.
This image, as we're looking at it, what we're seeing is not just all the galaxies, but there's a cluster here. And so the cluster are all these white.
Well, that's sad. Sadly, she would be the same age. Hey, I didn't say it.
Galaxies. We're seeing them as they look
what an
back
idiot.
in time. Right? The speed of light is only so fast. And so
stop talking over.
Distant galaxies out in space, we're seeing them as they looked billions of years ago. So these clusters.
Tell her that's what they did also. They keep telling us the same thing over and over. You know, we're looking back in time.
And so does he. He keeps repeating himself every week, every day, doesn't he? Same old crap.
Time, John. You know? That light took 13.8 billion years to get here.
which is their theory about it all, you know, at the edge of space and Big Bang Theory nonsense. Just keep repeating it, just like he repeats the same stuff in ufology.
Getting it. Just came over today. We took this picture this morning. Fucking A. You know, it's like, and then the next part, we got a picture here. Now this picture's 13.1 billion light years away, whatever the fuck they say, and then it's so frustrating, I'm not gonna...
So, they know light takes a certain time to travel distances, and they're saying that we're looking back in time to early moments of the universe forming. But who's to know, really? Unless you get out there and actually get to these places, we're not going to really know. We're just looking through a telescope, just like we are trying to study UFOs. And we get blurfos. This looks like a mess to me. Just keep on going.
I'm going to put you through this the whole show.
So it just proves to me that the space is not a vacuum. From that galaxy to this telescope's lens, there's going to be dust, there's going to be gases, there's going to be quartz crystals and all sorts of bits floating around in space that's going to distort the light coming from there to here in 13 billion years of travel, whatever it is that it takes to get to Earth.
Joe, I promise, just this picture and one more.
Galaxies, the white ones we're seeing as they looked, about the time the sun and the earth formed.
Oh.
And then behind the cluster, we have the gravity of the cluster is distorting and warping our view of what's behind. And so there are these galaxies that look stretched and pulled, kind of like they've been magnified because they've been magnified by the gravity of the cluster, just like Einstein said they would.
Bollocks.
And, you know, it's really, there's so much...
So she's going to be a PhD that's repeating the same nonsense that she learnt in a university.
I've never heard of that before.
Yes, because you never went to university, mate. You don't understand what Einstein's theory is.
This stretching of the picture. Look at her.
He's meant to be a 17, 18-year photo balloon expert or whatever.
No, you know whose mom she is?
Yours.
I just realized it. UFO Jesus. Yeah. But I never, ever have seen a picture with blurred images in it the way these are stretched out, the way she explained it. She said because these are coming from behind. See these here? Let me pull it up.
Okay, so obviously she's talking about this cluster here, right? You can see the stretching is occurring around the outside. That one there, and that one there is obviously closer, and so she's saying the gravity that these are producing is warping the light going around. So these galaxies are actually behind these. So it's fairly obvious what she is saying, but he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. Because he ain't scientist. He ain't a scientist's mind. So let's just draw up a cluster. A cluster F. Circle. Fillet. Okay, so we've got a cluster of galaxies, and around it you've got another colour, other galaxies. Okay, why is it not coming up? That sort of look like stretches. So we're looking at 2D, aren't we? So, you know, Einstein said, need to, or actually we'll try and draw it here. So if you've got the sun, or cluster of galaxies, they bend space around it, so you don't see it, but space is bent in all different directions, but it has a little hole there, blah blah blah. Right, that's what Einstein was saying, apparently. And of course the light comes along the edge of the universe there in this imaginary three-dimensional plane, bending the light green. So you got light coming from another cluster, and then it gets bent around and it comes back around and round. So it bends the light in an arc, right? And then it hits the telescope lens there. So we're actually seeing these galaxies from behind. The light is from behind, and they're making these artificial things on the lens, I guess. So to look at it three-dimensionally, let's go back. So orange going. So you've got a cluster. I'll just make it one big circle. So you're looking at a little galaxy behind, and the light comes from this and goes around and carries on, which is Einstein's theory of spacetime and general relativity. Okay, so another theory is that these clusters have a lot of loose gases in it, or crystals or whatever, around the atmosphere. So it has another atmosphere around it, which can bend light the same way the theory of Einstein can say. So we've got two theories that explain the same thing. So there was a video on this. From Electric Universe, and there's a PhD Indian that said certain things in the atmosphere around heavy masses would bend light, refract light, like it does with the light entering water, without actually removing any of the spectrums. So you get pure light that bends and then comes right round, which to me makes sense to me, rather than this imaginary space being bent. It's not like you throw a ball close to the earth and you can see it bending. You shoot a rocket up around the earth, you don't see it being bent on camera, do you? But we're meant to believe there's meant to be bent space or around Earth and the Sun from the gravity. So yeah, gravitational lensing. What happened there? Must have touched the wrong key. It's called gravitational lensing, where it bends the light. And you can see here, it's similar to what I was drawing, right? How it bends the light around a massive object, and you get that sort of halo effect. So, alternative. Graphic. You never know what you find here. Dark matter may not actually exist. Gravitational wave lensing beyond Einstein's general relativity. Oh, there you go. They got new theories popping out. Strong field by Harry Gear. Harry Gear. Black holes. See, black holes may not exist either. It's not so. We've photographed them. We've actually just measured it with radio telescopes and again used some mathematical model to filter out the noise, so-called noise, which they claim to be noise, and actually produce a hole. Be like those photographs we just looked at with the fake towers, right? Who's to say that their model and process and maths models not got problems with it? You always got to question these things. Yeah, just trying to find that video. I've played it many times before. It's quite a good video. Gravitational lensing is wrong. Let's try that. Space warp puts a supernova. Space gravitational lensing theory explained. No, we don't need to do that. Yeah, I'm not too sure. What is our understanding of gravity is wrong. Exactly, mate. Yeah, they're talking about bent space. Got to question these things. Gravitational lensing. But everyone accepts it as fact and truth. We can prove it. We've seen it with our telescopes. Einstein proved Newton was wrong about gravity. Nature's lens. Well, who's going to prove Einstein wrong about some of his stuff? How gravity can bend light like a telescope. Yeah. I think I might have to put electric universe in. Debunking the electric universe. Everybody wants to debunk that because it doesn't fit in with their standard model of theories of Big Bang. Well, I'm not saying electric universe can't be wrong, but some things they are particularly correct on, you know, and their counter arguments. Discovery highlights shining a light on dark matter. NASA. Largest ever dark matter map suggests Einstein's theory may actually be what? True. It's going to be a magazine. Well, they don't counter out all the other theories out there, which could also prove that they're correct. Case against dark matter. There you go. One's against it. Einstein will never be wrong. Never wrong think. He'll never be wrong. That's impossible to say that. Researchers image dark matter bridge between galaxies. I still haven't found the video. Hubble. Gravitational lensing. I think Google's suppressing electric universe theory, which is really good. Theory in a nutshell. They believe that universe is made up of electrical plasma energy, and the universe is really plasma, and the black hole is actually plasma sparks and a vortex. As it's forming stars and stuff. It really universe mass black holes. The black holes shine. See, it's not showing the video. Let's see. Gravitational lensing. Electric universe. Want their one. Debunking straight away. Not what I put in, but that's what it's come up. Same one. So, same one's coming up. Exactly the same. Starlight bending. That could be the one. That could be it. Part of it anyway. Starlight bending and gravitational lensing. Is that the one? No. Thunderbolt electric universe. Okay, it could be here. Let's have a look at that one. Okay. Looks like it's a playlist. So that means they're suppressing the site. So you can't find their stuff like you can't find my stuff. Because Google, but they do allow the playlists. So yeah. Plasma and electromagnetism in space. So that's not it. That's talking about their model thinking, but really want the part on the gravitational lensing. Anyway, probably quicker to search my stuff and just replay that. Can't find it. Gravitational lensing. What's happened? The very small font. No, it's spelled wrong still. What am I doing? Spelled something wrong. Gravitational. I'm not even sure if that's the right one. Okay, here we go. Got something going. I've talked about it a few times. So, is that one? Let's see if it's got the link in it. That's really old. Gravitational lensing. Could be here. Gases, I guess, and here is it. Why is it such low quality? Lensing by refraction. Maybe I need to put that in the search thing. But have I got a link in the side? Did I post it back then? Oh, there's that shill. Rene Cruz that believes everything and not the real stuff. You can see back then I was using Hangouts on Air, and it just made a right mess of my episodes. Have we got a link here? No links. Where's the links? 6. That's someone I haven't seen around for a long time. People come and go. You piss them off with something they believe and then they disappear. Yeah, where's that video? Found some web pages. It's further on. Suppose you could watch that one again, it just goes over the same stuff. But it's probably worth redoing it. Okay, we've got some links popping up here, I think. Is that one of them? Let's see what happens. Where has it gone? Oh, there. Thunderbolts. Here we go. Lensing by refraction. By Andrew Hall. Big Bang cosmology has its challenges. It also has its challengers. The electric universe community is a challenger to the standard gravitational model, believing space-time to be a misinterpretation of the universe. The things we see in the cosmos, from large-scale thermometry structures connecting galactic clusters to Earth's climate and meteorology, are plasma phenomenon driven by electromagnetic forces. In fact, even gravity can be seen as a manifestation of electromagnetic forces, as shown by Will Thornhill in his EU 2015 conference presentation, The Long Path to Understanding Gravity. Electric universe theory is not the only challenger to standard gravitational theories. However, many gravity-based theories also challenge the mainstream from within their own community. Professor R.C. Gupta at the Institute of Engineering and Technology in Lucknow, India, has presented such a theory in a paper. Obviously he's a PhD if he's a professor, right? And entitled Bending of Light Near a Star and Gravitational Red-Blue Shift, Alternative Explanation Based on Refraction of Light. The paper asserts that the theory behind gravitational lensing, one of the eventuary proofs of general relativity, is wrong. Oh no, the world's going to fall down, the sky's falling, and that lensing effect can caused by refraction through the atmospheres of stars and galaxies. The paper also presents the mathematical basis for refraction and shows that refraction closely predicts the same lensing effect as attributed to gravity or Einstein's theory. It is plausible theory based on the presence of plasma atmospheres that pervade stellar and galactic formations. Dr. Gupta shows that it's... So I think this guy's got it right. It's common sense, isn't it? We know refraction happens and space is not actually a vacuum. But why is it not losing energy as it passes through and bends, is the question. So he's talking about plasma filled around, which obviously doesn't absorb energy of the light but bends it. That's how I'm sort of reading it. Simple answer. Yeah, I like simple answers. You know, it's like Oskin's razor. Space-time bent space that you can't see, or something that's in between us and the star that's somehow affecting the light travelling and bending it, which is the more common sense answer. Of course, all the other people go into the deep end and like the space-time bullshit. And Einstein could never be wrong. Solar lensing. In the plasma ionized atmosphere of the sun, as predicted by refraction. So I don't understand all that stuff because I haven't gone into it. I haven't gone into the deep end. I just believe that it does sound plausible, you know. I think there's a video here somewhere. Is there a video link? I repost that again and let people read it themselves. Let's see if you question everything yourself. Question and Einstein. Oh. Probably got some typos in there, but let's see, there was another link. Where was it? That one? I want the video. The video is quite good. What's that saying link? Is it? Did I click the same one twice? It kind of looks like the same link. Let's see, is there any video? I can't quite get to it. Let's restart at 9:30. So I'm playing a video now. Have you got any drink left? Nope. Okay. Is that another link? What's this one? Star's black hole encounter puts Einstein's theory of gravity to the test. That's not the video. Maybe it's not in this one. Bit of a shame if it's not. It would have to be though. Want to know what's happened to the video? Is that the one? I'm not sure. EMC incomplete, it says here.
E equals mc squared may be the most famous equation in the world.
It's got music on it.
It just describes have mass and
Fancy putting music in the background.
Squared equals m plus p times c squared.
So it's not EMC, EM. That's what
You can draw it as a right triangle with sides E, mc squared, and p times c. And just use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to we get back our good old friend E equals mc squared. On the
So he's turned it into a three-dimensional thing, but Einstein's looking at it in 2D. 2D space,
to a
not
factor
3D.
of the speed of light. In fact, the closer the energy of something is to p times c, the closer that something is to behaving like light. I mean, look here, this tiny little bit of mass is hardly mass at all. Anyway, as an example, an object's velocity is equal to the speed of light. closer and closer to equaling your energy, so their ratio gets closer and closer to being 1, and your speed gets closer and closer to light speed. But because of that tiny little bit of mass, the momentum side of the triangle will always be a little bit smaller than the energy side. No matter how hard you try to increase your momentum, it never quite gets to the point where p times c equals your energy, and thus your velocity can never quite reach the speed of light, all because the hypotenuse of a right triangle is longer than its legs.
That's interesting. But where's the one I'm after? The video. Okay, is it here? No. That's debunking third phase about the Batman thing. Looks like we ain't got the video. I didn't see it playing. So I must have added it on since. Someone turned that document into a video. That's what we need to find. The video of it. So was it on? So it's way back in my early streams, right? We're talking about years ago now. And it still applies to today, even with the latest information. Butterfly stings like a bee. Various. Let's see, is it on this one? Google Earth. Problems, universe theories, alternate theories, problems. That was a playlist though. That was Boyd Bushman when I did. They had the Kmart alien doll, claimed it to be real, and his magnet experiment that he reckons he put two magnets close, very strong magnets, repelling each other, and you tape them together and drop it from a tower. They will actually land on the ground slower than if you dropped two magnets that are joined together with the same weight. And people challenged that by trying that experiment out, and they found that they pretty much hit the ground at the same time. Give and take wind factors and resistance, but yeah, if you've got equal masses, doesn't matter which way the magnets are, it still hits the ground at the same time, so it doesn't change at all. So why didn't it come up, Google? Why are you hiding my thing with the video in it? Is it in here, maybe? Got no chapters back then, unfortunately. You're in... Again, the font's too small. Where's the topic list? I must have a topic list here. Drone footage, gravitational lens and space-time is wrong. Okay, so we need to get that one because it upsets people. Can't be wrong. Can't accept it. Universities and PhDs know better. Come on, come on. This could be it. Is it? Oh no, it's talking about the security. These blue lights were actually electrostatic flashes or emission pill. Was it? These from these long exposure slides. Yeah, that was scratches. Where it's peeling. Okay, where's the movie? Movie on gravitational lensing. See, you've been repeating the same crap for... When was that one done? 2019. You're still repeating the same crap. These guys. Which are artifacts which we know are caused by... And dust on the screen of the camera lens. Being birds in the sky. Absolute nonsense. Gravitational, where is it? I got lots of links being posted here. Let's see, GPS, third phase, debunking, Richardson debunks, BBC. So debunking the debunks. I thought it said number 3, so why can't I find it then? Security was not. Keep on going. It's near the end again though. Was that about redshift? Was that one? Where the galaxy speeds are all different. They're not actually all moving at the same speed away from us, which then sort of makes you wonder about the theory that they claim to be a constant expansion. Yep, it's impossible to find that video for you. I should have probably done it before the show, but who knows, you know. Who'd think it was going to be that hard? So let's type in gravitational refracting. Let's see if we can find it now. Refraction. Starlight bending, gravitational lensing. We should be writing. No. Test of the theory of gravity. Hubble's constant. That's it. And where the galaxies are meant to be expanding away from us at the same speed. And it turns out they're not. They're all over the place. Shining a light on dark matter. Maybe it's that one. Let's just have a quick look. No, it's NASA, so it's bound to be wrong. Because they're too also wrapped up PhDs in the same theories all the time. Negative refraction and perfect lenses. What's that one there? Three false ideas by Einstein. Okay, let's have a look at that one. See what this guy's got to say.
I have a great respect for Albert Einstein for his great works in theoretical physics.
Is that the Gupper guy, maybe? What's his name? Doesn't mean that Einstein's not wrong, though.
For his intuitions, new ideas, revolutionary thinking.
Indians make me laugh, though. They always have the same way of speaking English,
etc. At the same time, I have disagreements also with him. According to general theory of relativity, gravity can bend space and time.
That's funny in
Gravity
itself. There's this thing about it.
Curvature in space-time. This idea is used today. Today we use this idea to explain gravitational lensing, starlight bending, etc. Time dilation, gravitational time dilation, etc. However, I have a different approach to this phenomena. In the last video, we saw that mass effect is converted into a super thin form of matter. Whenever a mass effect happens, the missing matter is turned into a super thin form of matter, ether. Since it is a different state of matter, this matter also has all the qualities of ordinary matter. That is, it has an individual particle of ether, has its own mass, even though it is very small, it has mass. It is attracted by...
Yeah, so that sounds a bit like what Tesla was saying about gravity is the flux, the movement of energy from the ether into the atoms in our matter. And he's saying something similar. But yeah, he's obviously not what we're after. But even he doesn't agree with Einstein, as you can read here, there, even though it's a bit hard to understand. A fractional light in water. Okay, so that's another one where you can see the straw bending in water, right? Gravitational winds and quantum physics and reality. What is Einstein's theory of relativity? Still, we can't find anything about refraction. Another failure of general relativity. Okay, let's have a look at that one. Oh. Okay. Going to another website that they say is dodgy. Refraction. Universe has a lithium problem. Okay, that's another one. Another one that's wrong with Big Bang. Universe today. Sign up. Bugger off. Universe has a lithium problem. Over the past decades, scientists have wrestled with the problem involving the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory suggests there should be 3 times as much lithium as we can observe. Why is there such a discrepancy between prediction and observation? To get that problem, let's get back up a bit. The Big Bang Theory is well known, supported by multiple lines of evidence and theory. It's widely accepted as the explanation of how the universe started. 3 key pieces of evidence supported by BBT. Observation of cosmic microwave background, a growing understanding of large-scale structure of the universe, rough agreement between calculations of observations of abundance of primordial light nuclei. Do not attempt to say this 3 times. But the BBT has some niggling questions. So that means it's not correct, and it's what's still a theory. The missing lithium problem is centered around the earliest stages of the universe, from about 10 seconds to 20 minutes after the Big Bang. The universe was super hot and was expanding rapidly. This was, or actually expanded instantly in no time at all, because time didn't exist as the explanation for that. Wasn't it one of the quotes from Hawkins? At time, atomic nuclei formed through nucleosynthesis, but the extreme heat that dominated the universe prevented the nuclei from combining with electrons to form atoms. The universe was a plasma, electric universe, of nuclei, electrons, and photons. Only the lightest nuclei were formed during the time, including most of helium in the universe and small amounts of other light nuclei, like deuterium and our friend lithium. Hey, lithium-ion batteries, yay! For the most part, heavier elements were formed until stars appeared and took on the role of nuclear synthesis. The problem is that our understanding of the Big Bang tells us that there should be 3 times as much lithium as there is. Talking about, radioactive decay and all that sort of business. The BBT gets it right when it comes to other primordial nuclei. Our observation of helium and deuterium match the BBT's predictions. So far, scientists haven't been able to resolve this inconsistency. But a new paper from researchers, alright, someone's come up with a add-on, and China may have solved the puzzle. One assumption in the Big Bang nucleosynthesis is that all of the nuclei are to thermodynamic equilibrium, and that our velocities conform to what's called a classic Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, but the Maxwell describes what happens in what is called an ideal gas. Real gases can behave different, and this is what the researchers propose, that nuclei and plasma of the early photon period of the universe behave slightly different than thought. So they're making all these patches onto the Big Bang Theory to plug all the problems with it. That's all I see. It's a new theory on top of a theory which they like so much, so they can keep it rather than scrapping it and starting over again. The author supplied what is known as a non-extinctive statistics to solve the problem, and it's going to be probably more complicated than ever. But anyway, that's not what we're after either. So where's all the lithium? These simulations provide clues on how to escape a black hole. You can't escape a black hole. Video volt. Refraction index. How does light travel? So these are all the mainstream stuff that Google's plugging here. Gravitational engine. So why can't I find my video? Google. I even put electric universe in there. Crap. What's going on? What's it called? Thunderbolts. Let's see. I think that was the name of the channel. Thunderbolts. Let's see if that comes up. No. If we can get to their site, maybe. Which is not coming up. So they've been well and truly censored, haven't they? Is that Thunderbolts?
That we also find in young stars. They claim that these stars will expel vast amounts of material, which will eventually form a planetary nebula. And now they have discovered a star which is not only ejecting material in this manner, but also an expanding ring system, and also ejecting large blobs of plasma. In the electric universe, these stars are deprived of electrons, which forces their outer plasma sheath to expand. A planetary nebula is not the remnants of a dying star, but instead are the structures that the star is connected to, which are being lit up in glow mode due to a pinching event which is taking place around the star itself. We know that what is termed as a young star can eject vast amounts of material from the jets, but this process also seems to happen with the larger, in quotes, dying stars. At the same time, we also see the formation of a ring system around new stars, which is often interpreted as an accretion disk from which planets may form. The same may also appear to happen with these supposed older stars, but now they call it a dust torus. In the electric universe, stars undergo a process whereby they become electrically stressed. There is an imbalance between the incoming charges and those flowing away. In order to deal with this, some of its charged material can be ejected. This can happen as a CME, or in extreme cases, large planet-sized chunks of plasma can be ejected. In the most extreme...
could that explain the UFOs in Secure Team's video?
In case, the star itself will split into two equal and sometimes unequal parts. There is much observational evidence to show that those latter cases occur right after a sudden flaring or brightening event. V Hydrae is what is called a carbon star. These are...
So this is a video debating some of the conventional theory there after Big Bang, right? So let's see, we'll search this one for gravitational lensing. Not always right, but there is some interesting stuff, right? Which sort of thinks, it kind of makes sense what they're saying. So, it's always best to be in the middle, a bit like politics. Don't be left, don't be right, but be roughly centre. Same should be with science. You shouldn't always go with one side of view. You should always have an open mind and think, could there be two conclusions, not one? to the idea of light bending and which one's correct. So, gravitational lensing. Let's see what comes up. Let's see if we can search the site directly. I suppose in the myth. Here it is. Come up straight away. I found it. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, it's got a red line underneath it. So why can't I get this? I don't know. In the
Welcome
searches.
to Space News from the Electric Universe, brought to you by the Thunderbolts Project at thunderbolts.info. A principle of modern cosmology is that so-called space-time is a physically real entity. In Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity, light will follow the so-called curvature of space-time. For decades, astronomers have claimed to observe the bending of light passing around massive objects, an effect called gravitational lensing. However, as is so often the case in the space sciences, the line between fact and interpretation is routinely blurred. Today, Thunderbolts contributor Andy Hall discusses the tenability of gravitational lensing and explores the growing body of research into its theoretical alternatives.
Einstein's theory of general relativity is the backbone of mainstream cosmology. Anyone exploring electric universe theory must confront the issue of the general relativity model, because in spite of the fact it doesn't really describe much that we see in space, it is still widely believed by mainstream institutional science. And we are consistently told by mainstream science that general relativity is proven by direct observations. One of those observations, and the first used to confirm Einstein's theory, is an effect he predicted himself called gravitational lensing. Einstein predicted that light should bend slightly as it passes through the warped space-time of a massive body like a star. And this bending or lensing effect should be observed if one could see distant starlight passing through the gravitational influence of a closer massive body like the Sun. Well, in 1919, Sir Arthur Eddington famously made this observation during a total eclipse of the Sun on the African island of Principe. He observed light from distant stars bending through the gravitational influence of the Sun, and on that basis declared Einstein's theory to be verified. Of course, the lensing effect has been observed many times since, as the powerful telescopes of our modern observatories see the light of distant galaxies bend around the galaxies in the foreground. It's quite common, and it's taken for granted the effect is caused by Einstein's theory of gravitation. But for a direct observation to be held as proof requires it to be a phenomenon that can be only explained by that theory, a unique solution, in other words. As I followed my own path of discovery in the electric universe, it was essential to find a classical physics explanation for lensing. Otherwise, how could I accept that general relativity can be disputed? So I discovered the work of Dr. R.C. Gupta at the Institute of Engineering and Technology in Lucknow, India, and wrote about it in the Thunderblog article, Lensing by Refraction,
which we read out some of
to
it
bring
before.
it to the attention of our readers. Dr. Gupta's paper, entitled Bending of Light Near a Star and Gravitational Red-Blue Shift, Alternative Explanation Based on Refraction of Light, asserts that the theory behind gravitational lensing is wrong, and that the lensing effect is actually caused by refraction through the atmospheres of stars and galaxies. Dr. Gupta shows that if you make certain assumptions about the density of a stellar atmosphere, mathematically, the equation Einstein derived from general relativity to calculate gravitational lensing can also be derived from the classical equations for refraction. Dr. Gupta shows mathematically they are equivalent, but the physics behind them is quite different. Refraction is classical optical physics. Refraction occurs when light waves pass through matter with different densities, and it causes the light path to bend. We see this effect every day. When we see a pole in a pool of water, the pole appears bent because the light is refracted as it passes from the water to the air. We use refraction to bend and refocus light in magnifying glasses, eyeglasses, and telescope lenses by passing light through the curved surfaces of a crystal. Anyone who takes a first-year physics course learns that refraction is an inevitable consequence when light passes from a medium of one density to a medium of another density. It is the kind of simple answer based on classical physics that electric universe theory rigorously requires. The concept of refractive lensing has also been discussed in Thunderbolts forums before. Dr. Edward Dowdy, Jr., a physicist and laser optics engineer formerly with the NASA Goddard Space Center, presented at the EU 2012 conference observations he made of solar lensing at varying altitudes above the photosphere of the sun. And he showed that the lensing effect varies as predicted by refraction through an atmospheric gradient, not as predicted by gravitation. In another observation, he points to the lack of gravitational lensing observed in the stars that rapidly orbit the Milky Way's galactic center. Big Bang theory predicts there is a massive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, at the location known as Sagittarius A. Astronomers have observed stars in fast elliptical orbits around the galactic center for over a year, some having completed entire orbits. Dr. Dowdy points out that light from these stars should lens if there is a black hole there, as predicted by general relativity. The light should distort as the stars orbit close to the immense gravitational field of the purported black hole. But they don't exhibit any optical distortion at all. This is completely at odds with the predictions of general relativity, but mainstream cosmologists.
So what do you think of that, guys? You don't hear that on all these other TV channels that are promoting science and stuff. You don't hear this alternative view, which to me makes perfect sense, what these guys are telling us in this Thunderbolt project. So, yeah. They're saying there's a couple of PhDs there that don't agree with the other PhDs that are promoting the Big Bang.
Just blithely ignore this inconvenient truth. Dr. Gupta points to another optical effect as proof that lensing is caused by refraction and not gravity. Diffraction is a natural consequence of refractive lensing. As light refracts, its wavelengths or colors spread slightly, as happens when light passes through a prism. General relativity predicts no prismatic diffraction with gravitational lensing, since gravity warps spacetime is supposed to bend all wavelengths equally. Well, there is a special case of lensing called the Einstein ring. It occurs when the focal point of distant light is directed at the observer in such a way that it creates a complete ring of light around the intervening galaxy. You can see the same effect when a full moon shines through high thin clouds and creates a ring around the moon. This is refraction of the moonlight through the ice crystals in the clouds. This type of ring can be seen around galaxies too, when another bright galaxy shines from directly behind the other. It's called an Einstein ring. Einstein rings are always blue, and mainstream cosmology has never been able to explain why they are blue if they are caused by gravitational lensing. The blue color is an indication of diffraction due to chromatic aberration, the prism effect, which is a predicted consequence of refractive lensing. Dr. Gupta's paper also goes on to postulate that gravitational attraction is only between material bodies, bodies with mass, and that light waves have no rest mass, so cannot be affected by gravity. This agrees with EU theory and refutes another pillar of Big Bang cosmology, the phenomena of redshift. Astronomers see the light of distant galaxies as redshifted, its wavelength stretched, in other words, and attribute the effect to gravity and the expansion of the universe. Big Bang theory actually predicts three types of redshift. First, there is gravitational redshift, caused by the pull of gravity on the light, which increases its wavelength as it leaves the gravitational influence of the galaxy it comes from. Then there is Doppler redshift, caused by the galaxy moving away from us in an expanding universe, causing the wavelength of the light to stretch the same way the sound of a train whistle drops in tone as it races away, causing its wavelength to stretch. Finally, they also predict the light wave is stretched by the stretching of space itself because the universe is expanding. This is called cosmological redshift. The refraction theory simply says none of these convoluted explanations are true. The physics of refraction says that the wavelength of light is stretched, redshifted, because the speed of light is slowed as it passes through a denser medium. This is because the speed of light is not a constant, it's a speed limit. Light can be slowed down. Light can be slowed in the laboratory by passing it through various mediums. So according to refraction theory, the speed of light is slowed by a medium as it passes into, and hence the light waves pile up like a traffic jam, decreasing the wavelength and causing a blue shift. And when light leaves a denser medium, like a galaxy, into the near zero density of intergalactic space, it speeds up, stretching the wavelength into the red. And this explains redshift, again, with known classical physics. Refraction theory really presents two alternative explanations for phenomena commonly used as proof of general relativity, lensing and redshift. As Wal Thornhill explains in Towards a Real Cosmology in the 21st Century, the electric universe theorizes neutrinos form the ether and provide the mechanical substrate of the universe. Neutrinos have mass, albeit very small, and envelop stars and galaxies in a density gradient. In addition, we know stars and galaxies are plasma entities themselves and are enveloped in plasma atmospheres. At the time Einstein developed the theory of general relativity, the pervasiveness of plasma atmospheres around stars and galaxies was not known, nor had neutrinos been observed. It was thought there was no medium to cause refraction in the vacuum of space. Now we know about the plasma environments of stars and galaxies. We know neutrinos pervade space. It is inconceivable, in accordance with the classical physics of light and optics, that light passing through a medium does not experience refraction. Nevertheless, gravitational lensing is used by the mainstream to study the presence of dark matter and galactic clusters. Redshift is used to calculate the size of the universe and the rate of its expansion. These are all concepts based on flawed assumptions that waste everyone's time. Refraction is the actual cause of lensing, and it needs to be recognized that it refutes two of the major false assumptions behind Big Bang cosmology, redshift and gravitational lensing. It also points to the malleability of mathematics to describe anything. Just because an equation can be made to work isn't proof of anything unless the physics behind the equation is correct. I think the biggest irony of this story is the fact that Sir Eddington claimed he observed proof of gravitational lensing using telescopes that work by refraction. Apparently, he never stopped to think about that.
For continuous updates on space news from the electric universe, stay tuned to thunderbolts.info.
So guys, what do you think of that? That's amazing little episode there. And we just had a spammer. It must be from the Big Bang. Bill Dub. Bugger off. You've been blocked. Stupid person. Okay, so I think the Big Bang has a lot of problems, and so does space-time theory and Einstein. One day we'll know the truth, but it's best to have a good open mind and also challenge things. Einstein is wrong. He even questioned his own stuff, didn't he? He even thought he was wrong. He wanted to go back and change things. He wasn't happy with relativity. Yet we get it run down our throat pretty much every week of the year. Years, I should say. It's amazing how many people debate me and attack me over questioning Einstein and general relativity. But it's when you start looking at with an open mind these other theories and think, yeah, that does make actually good sense, you know. What do you do about it? Discovery of gravitational waves. Okay, let's have a quick look at that one. It's good, these videos. I like videos that challenge. It's amazing how many people attack electric universe, but like everything, they're going to be wrong here and right there, and modern science is saying.
Welcome to the Thunderbolts.info podcast for February 22nd. Seen in essence zero skepticism of this so-called discovery. Given the mathematical and technical complexities involved, it seems that the general public is basically being asked to accept as a matter of faith that the discovery is valid. However, it's not merely proponents of the electric universe theory who are skeptical of the detection of gravitational waves. Today, I'm going to read a statement that an astronomer has written, which explains in comprehensive
Okay, so this goes now back to Bob Lazar stuff again, talking about pods underneath UFOs sending out gravitational waves. There's a question that if gravitational waves don't actually exist, and it's all a big lie.
Comprehensible terms, why this claim may be truly fantastic, if not unbelievable. This statement is written by the self-styled dissident astronomer and mathematician Hilton Ratcliffe. Now, Hilton Ratcliffe is the author of such books as The Static Universe, Exploding the Myth of Cosmic Expansion, and The Virtue of Heresy, Confessions of a Dissident Astronomer. Now, Hilton Ratcliffe is not a proponent of the electric universe theory, but he has given us permission to read this statement here on the Thunderbolts YouTube channel. And I think it should serve as a nice compliment to Wal Thornhill's presentation as we continue our ongoing coverage of this developing story. I shall begin reading the statement now. On Thursday, the 11th of February, 2016, a group of some 1,000 scientists co-authored a paper announcing that the LIGO interferometric array had, after more than a decade of fruitlessly accumulating data, positively identified the signature of gravitational waves coming from a deep space event. This was a phenomenon predicted by Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. Its actual discovery would have enormous implications for science. Consequently, we ought to be properly skeptical of any claims made in this regard, and subject the data and the experiment to rigorous testing before we incorporate them into the body of scientific knowledge. On September 14, 2015, LIGO, Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, observed a, quote, chirp lasting about a fifth of a second. Analyses of the signal suggest that it was produced by the cataclysmic collision of two black holes a billion light years away. The momentary nature of the detection immediately begs the question, how could the almighty collision between two supermassive bodies produce a wave lasting just a fifth of a second? Be that as it may, there are several more troubling aspects of this alleged discovery.
It's
I shall
laughable.
list a few of them. The instruments that comprise LIGO were set up to try to achieve a specific goal, consequent to the predictions of general relativity theory. The observatory consists of two identical stations, one at Hanford, Washington, and the other at Livingstone, Louisiana, some 3,000 kilometers apart. Each station consists of a system of optical, electronic, mechanical, and hydraulic components, and each has three optically polished surfaces across which the light signal must pass. The mirrors in the interferometer are set 4 kilometers apart. The exactness of this linear separation is absolutely crucial to the success of the experiment, because what it seeks to measure is a minute variation in that distance. The expected change in distance over the 4 kilometer separation, in layman's language, is 1,000 trillionth of a millimeter. Let's try to put that expected variation into some sort of comprehensible perspective. It is equivalent to a 10 millionth of a diameter of a single atom, or in slightly more familiar terms, increasing or decreasing the distance from the sun to the next nearest star, 42 trillion kilometers, by the width of a human hair. That is probably unimaginable to most people. So let's try to add further perspective. The best precision mirror surfaces are polished to match the ideal, nearly parabolic surface to about 25 nanometers. A nanometer is a millionth of a millimeter. That is incredibly fine tolerance, but it pales when compared with what LIGO claims to measure. Put another way, the most precisely polished astrophysical mirrors, like those used in LIGO, can have 25 peaks nanometer above and below the theoretical surface plane of the mirror, meaning that some parts of the mirror can be 50 nanometers further from or closer to the points of observation. 50 nanometers is a billion times bigger than the gravitational wave's signature. Because of this, it is practically impossible to measure the distance between the two mirrors in each interferometer to the required tolerances, so they have had to take an average, which is no more than a guessed approximation. Some distinguished scientists have found additional worrisome aspects of the LIGO discovery. Dr. Abbas Mitra, a theoretical physicist and astrophysicist from the universities of Calcutta and Mumbai, found that the alignment of the Hanford-Livingstone axis required for an even approximately accurate fit with theory is almost impossibly fortuitous.
So here you got lots of PhDs questioning the LIGO, which is meant to be proof of gravitational waves. It's probably just an error, a blip in the data. You know, you're trying to see if the light beam vibrates on a Earth that's constantly moving with earthquakes and things and trucks driving past and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I call bullshit. And if UFOs were using gravitational waves, it wouldn't be that hard to detect them, would it? It'd be like the ghost hunters where they're walking around with an EMF meter and it's peaking all the time. So you'd be detecting a UFO flying over your head or the other side of the planet for that sensitivity. So that proves that Bob Lazar just read something from a magazine and made up the whole damn story, right?
Dr. Mitra stated in a letter to the author, the distance between the two LIGO detectors at Livingstone and Hanford is 3,000 kilometers, measured over the curvature of Earth's surface. The radius of Earth is approximately 6,370 kilometers, so we can calculate that the direct linear distance is about 2,500 kilometers between the two measurement stations. For the claimed event, the hypothesized collision of two black holes more than 1 billion light-years distant, to produce anywhere near the anticipated time delay of 8.3 millionths of a second, it would have to meet two critical criteria. Firstly, it would have to be almost exactly aligned with the line drawn through the Earth's crust between Livingstone and Hanford. And secondly, the wave would have to propagate through 2,500 kilometers of the rocky crust without degrading in the slightest. But barring such cosmic conspiracy, for a source located 1.3 billion light-years away, one would expect a delay much, much less than a theoretical 8.3 milliseconds or the measured 7 milliseconds. In fact, one may expect only a microsecond delay, 7,000 times smaller than LIGO found. LIGO's conclusion is therefore extremely improbable. Dr. Bipas Day, a radio astronomer of some 40 years of experience and a PhD in applied physics from the University of California, San Diego, found the following anomalies in the LIGO results. First, there is little doubt that gravitational waves exist and are there for us to try to detect them.
Yay.
Second, a high-energy spiked release is the best chance of detecting these waves. So the detection of the gravitational wave by LIGO reported recently should not be surprising. They would be commendable. The detectors at Hanford, Washington and Livingstone, Louisiana detected the wave 7 milliseconds apart. So far, so good. Note now. Number 1. There can be hardly any question that the two detectors are seeing the same thing. The exact same, quote, wavefront passing through them 7 milliseconds apart. Number 2. The Livingstone detector is recording lower signal level in the main body of the arrival. Elsewhere, before the arrival and after the signal is passed, the two detectors seem to be recording the similar strengths. This could readily be ascribed to instrumental differences between the detectors. If so, we should simply be able to linearly expand the blue signal and make it match up with the red signal everywhere. But clearly, this does not work. Two conclusions are possible. Number 1, gravitational wave has been observed, but there is a lot of explaining to do that has not been done in the Physical Review Letters paper. Number 2, something other than gravitational waves has been observed, and the difference in amplitude in the main body of the signal is real. To sort out item 2 above, consider among other possibilities the well-studied effect of geomagnetically induced currents in long metal structures. Such currents would be induced effectively in the 2-kilometer-long LIGO metal vacuum tubes. These currents in the Earth's magnetic field will create stresses on the tubes. These stresses, though vanishingly small for all purposes, may still be non-negligible for LIGO response in some complicated way, given the extraordinary sensitivity of the instrument. The timescale and the form of the signal seem suspiciously right for this. Furthermore, September 14, 2015 was a day specifically noted for geomagnetic disturbances. Since these disturbances originate in the ionosphere, they would affect both detectors.
There you go, guys. This is why you can't discount what they put up on Electric Universe, because their arguments are pretty sound. LIGO and errors. Gravity waves not proven. And certainly not detected by UFOs that are using them. So that means all the bullshitters out there on UFO channels that are all promoting LIGO and gravitational waves exist and Bob Lazar is correct are all shills for the government or someone, or just trying to collect money off you people that believe that nonsense. So yeah, this site's pretty interesting. What else did we have? So that was just looking at 2 videos of theirs. Failed attempts to detect macro lens and... Okay, that's the other guy that was debating. Big science and possibility of gravitational waves. Okay, we just heard that. So this is LIGO, one of the stations, as they were talking about on that one before. Literally stress stars. We heard a wee bit of that. Yeah, so really I should post the main search here too. EU. Go and check out this stuff anyway. Keep an open mind that they're not always going to be correct. Overlooked stuff like the main sites also overlooked stuff, or they tend to ignore it because they like the theory so much, so they want to stick with it. Let's type in redshift. See what comes up with that one. How old and far away? Plausibility of quantized redshift. Black holes, Big Bang and dark matter explained. Big shock to Big Bang. Space news. Hinton Up and Electric Universe. So they were talking about that before. Is that where they aimed the new telescope too, isn't it? Do quasars and redshift break Big Bang theory? What's that one?
And the apparent acceleration of the expansion rate led to the invention of dark energy. The foundation of Big Bang theory is based on the belief that an object's redshift is reliably proportional to its distance and velocity away from the observer. In this reasoning, the higher an object's redshift...
Okay, so we already heard all that.
And Lopez Corredora and Gutierrez in 2006. So this has been something that several people have been working on. Redshift periodicity has been observed at redshifts of 0.3, 0.6, 0.96, 1.41, and 1.96. There have also been predictions at 2.63 and 3.46, this from the work of Bayesian and Flynn in 2000, gravitational constant, M is the gravitational mass. Of particular interest is the term R star, which is the radial coordinate of the loses energy through interaction with the matter inside the QSO. This is for a linear regression as follows.
Okay, can you guys see what they do there? So if you want to dive into all that stuff, Go ahead. Okay, what's that one there?
Welcome to Space News from the Electric Universe, brought to you by the Thunderbolts Project at thunderbolts.info. A team of astronomers using the Sloan Digital Sky Survey have observed quasars behaving in a manner that completely upends conventional theory. Using images from the Pan-STARRS survey, the scientists identified 1,000 objects that appeared to vary in brightness over a period of just 10 years. Among these objects were a total of 5 galaxies that the team witnessed shape-shifting into quasars in a seemingly impossibly short period of time. The team also recorded a total of a dozen quasars, quote, shutting down in a period of hundreds of days, rather than the hundreds of thousands of years required by standard theory. A new scientist report on these astonishing findings states, astronomers expect quasars to use up their fuel and settle down into quiet galaxies, a process that should take hundreds of thousands of years. So last year, when a dozen quasars were spotted shutting down in just hundreds of days, it was a shock. What's more, one quasar appeared to turn on several years after turning off, but it's not clear if the other 4 are turning on for the first time, or if they are also flickering. The real surprise is the timescale. Previously, astronomers thought it should take thousands to millions of years to funnel enough gas onto a supermassive black hole for it to spawn.
Yeah, so there you go. So they tear apart stuff that's presented on news and papers there. So, yeah, it sort of goes against Big Bang and all that sort of theory, the standard model. Again, it's just lots of good stuff here, you know. And yet they get attacked and mocked by the big bangers out there, and suppressed by YouTube and all those out there that don't agree with these alternative theories or counterclaims. Deflated the theory of cosmic inflation. Okay, so Carl Sagan. More big problems for Big Bang. What else we got here? Stellar Evolution. What exactly is bizarre? So what exactly is bizarre? Let's have a quick look at that one. So I could spend all day going through all these.
Makes the blaze. Within the jets, the plasma travels at relativistic speeds. This, combined with the fact that the beams point towards us, makes the blazars appear much brighter. They are very variable as well and can undergo rapid changes in brightness in short timescales of hours to days. These should be very common in the early universe, but astronomers have struggled to find these objects, suggesting that they are not as common as they thought they were. In new research published, astronomers have managed to find a blazar at a very high redshift, which they think makes it a whopping 13 billion years old. This is a mere 800,000 years after the supposed Big Bang event. They were able to image the jets that were moving away from the blazar using the VLBA, which is a system of 10 radio telescopes. This radio image revealed a broken up jet emitting brightly in radio, stretching out about 1600 light years. When they analyzed the data, they discovered that the plasma was traveling at 75% the speed of light. In the mainstream model, these powerful jets are powered by supermassive black holes. Material is drawn in towards this and forms what they term as an accretion disk. The exact process whereby the jets are created is still open to debate, but some speculate that the intense magnetic fields twist in around the poles and cause material that is falling in to be ejected along these confined magnetic fields. So why are these blazars predicted to be more common than they are? In the Big Bang model, the early universe needs to become ionized. This is achieved through star formation and by the jets from these active galactic nuclei. Early galaxies would have to create stars at a rapid rate in order to achieve this ionization. The center of these galaxies would also be growing at an extraordinary rate. The masses of the detected active galactic nuclei at these high redshifts would indeed indicate a fast and efficient growth of these supermassive black holes. The problem is that this challenges the standard formation model of supermassive black holes and does not seem to be supported by the lack of these high redshift blazars. So how do they explain this then? They speculate that there could be a mismatch, meaning that the more distant blazars have different properties compared to the more local ones, and this could mean that the jets may be moving slower. This in turn may be due to a lower angular momentum of the gas in the accretion disk, which in turn allows the black hole to grow at a more rapid rate, leading to more rapid star formation. Or is there a different way of looking at this? Once more we must consider the question of distance and age. We have discussed many times that the notion that redshift is only related to recessional velocity and hence distance is wrong. Redshift can be caused by many additional factors. Hartenart was an astronomer who spent many years cataloguing quasars and galaxies. He published many books on his finds and showed clear evidence of a discrepancy between the measured distance using the Tully-Fisher measure and the associated redshift of these galaxies. The Tully-Fisher relationship is a way of relating luminosity of the galaxy with its distance. The further away these galaxies were, the greater the difference between these two measures became. We also see this appear in the quantization of this redshift, which has been interpreted as a great wall of galaxies, which seem to stretch out in a great big sphere away from us. He also drew a clear relationship between quasars and a host galaxy and showed that the redshift of these ejected objects appears to reduce as they got further from the parent galaxy and their brightness increased. This means that we should be open to the idea that redshift might indeed tell us something about the age of the object, but in the opposite way. The higher the redshift, the younger the object might be, or the more electrically active it is. As the redshift slowly decreases, so the brightness will increase. The Big Bang postulates that all matter came into existence at a specific point, and that the universe itself has expanded from this point onwards. The electric universe model, based on plasma cosmology, instead holds that there was no Big Bang, and that the universe is not expanding. The universe is filled with plasma that has different types of charges, and these tend to separate themselves via double layers or conform into large filaments called Birkeland currents. These can carry vast amounts of plasma from one area of high charge to another area with a lower charge. Along these filaments, a pinching effect can cause the material to become compressed. This can form highly energetic plasmoids. This pinching will cause more material to be drawn inwards, eventually forming what we see as a quasar. These plasmoids are characteristic in having a toroidal.
There you go. So there's another challenge to the conventions. So yeah, it just goes on and on and on. So interesting stuff. So they like to challenge things, which is really good. I like that. And their way of presenting is laid to me, so you can understand what they're talking about. Sort of all the eggheads out there into Big Bang. Anyway, we found it eventually, which showed that it was you couldn't find it via Google search, but we could through my Web captures and find an actual name of the channel they use, Thunderbolts, and search it directly there. We found what we're after. So yeah, shows you how much suppression there is of this stuff. Hey, on to the side chats. Hey, One Life Man, I saw. So someone said CB3, have you looked at Planet X? Yeah. It's nonsense, isn't it? But there is some new evidence that may come to light that they're still collecting of a distant planet that bit like the Omo, whatever it's called, rock come into our solar system and bounce back out. That there could be a planet that also does the same thing every so many millions of years, right? So they're still out on that. But I have covered it and I have talked about it in past live shows, if you can find it via the searches. One Life Man. I'm glad you could join us. The Egyptian king and queen still exist. They have the technology to get resurrected, and they're here in USA. Not sure what you mean by that. The new logo of NASA represents the Egyptian, and they always try to represent them. New logo, I'm not sure what you mean. New logo. You got a link to it. Then their logo is normally based on the V-shaped contrail produced from the rockets, the cone shape that you see in the sky. That's all it's ever been. There's been lots of conspiracy theories about it. But anyway, just go back to GUFON, just to finish up on what he was talking about here. And what she was saying about it proves Einstein's theory correct and all that sort of bullshit.
This here. This one stretched out. We've never seen this before.
See, he hasn't got a clue, this guy. We have seen it before. Hubble's shown it before.
They're all stretched out. I'm going to listen one more time. But watch how animated she is. She's fantastic.
Gravity of the cluster is...
He's just a disinformation agent, right?
...is a week. And we're going to be...
That doesn't make sense what she just said. She said
correct.
The image this morning. And then she just said the images you're looking at took a week. Do we... this is something I heard throughout. There was a lot of contradicting statements. I'm not going to go over them all.
This is how the oxygen in our bodies was made in stars, in galaxies, and we're seeing that process get started.
I want to give this a little bit of context. So this is now the farthest away galaxy that we have this sort of detailed information about.
That we know what it's made of.
We know what it's made of.
Yes.
You see, we were able to see that far, but this is the first time we've ever been able to get, chemical makeup or any of... Continuing supporter of GUFON. It's a good question. She just had what they call a NASAcism. It's an orgasm when you work at NASA. Is this a UFO show? Where am I?
It's a deep field. And it's also a deep field with a cluster. So why don't we walk through this?
It's a cluster, forget about it.
So if we come up and look at this image, first of all, it's really...
Yeah, I think we're done with that one. That just proves that he's part of the disinformation because he doesn't even understand basic concepts.
Material world and so forth. What Dorothy has done is she's bridged.
Okay, this is another thing he's promoting. Dorothy Izatt is legit, which is bullshit too, and there's another documentary being produced about her. Alright, so that's on to the next topic now.
UFOs caught on camera. Tubi. I can't watch Tubi on here. Alright, I'm going to take you guys with me. We're going to go... This is a new segment we're calling Twitter Roll. That's right.
Should be Twits.
Twitter.
Twits.
And we are going to see what's in the news on Twitter. Yeah, instead of me searching for things before the show, I'll just do it now. So here we are. Oh yeah, I can't do it. You know why? I'll tell you why. One time I did that.
Before I close, I'd like to share a little
porno showed
person.
up during the live show. Yeah. Shit, that sucks.
We never
I hate
forgot
that
about
I
that.
can't scroll. You can't.
You can if you go into your settings and change whether you want adult mature material to be shown. If you turn that off, I think it's on by default. But anyway, you can go and customize it. So if you're legal age and all that sort of stuff, I think you have to be a certain age to be on Twitter. That's turned on.
Twitter. On a live show, you should never scroll. Yeah, you'll get in trouble.
Never scroll, we wouldn't get anywhere.
Threatening asteroid on collision course with Earth has just been downgraded. Right, so what?
You mean that maybe NASA was wrong and the scientists were wrong? Oh no.
Who cares? Tell me when it's upgraded again. A lot of people talking about Twitter. See? There's a girl in her bathtub. Why is she in her bathtub?
That's because you haven't changed the bloody options, you idiot.
Oh, here we go. Dorothy Izatt. Here's a 1-minute clip. We're going to have fun. Dorothy Izatt. We talked about Dorothy here. Oh my God. Look at the video. Watch this.
Thing up in the sky.
This is without a doubt the most remarkable piece of footage she shot.
Was where the aliens showed up.
It's an image that appeared during one of Dorothy's routine sky watches just recently.
Yeah, how come it's a square? And why is it so out of focus, Dorothy? It reminds me of the Turkish video, right? Where it was like internal camera reflection of screw heads.
And then I noticed that in the window were a couple of aliens in the window. So I said,
oh, they have windows, do they?
Yeah, I can't see it. The light's so bright. I said, I need to film you. I said, can you turn the lights off the ship? And I can film you. And they did. The lights go off. The aliens are there.
And
wait a second.
Bullshit.
Like all of Dorothy.
Wait a second. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
She didn't
exactly.
capture this. This is
She
from
did.
Russia. This is a Russian UFO, and I am going to prove it. They got that wrong 20 years ago.
I think he might have it wrong too. It's definitely one of her images, I think. But she may have used it from 20 years ago to fake this thing.
This is not Dorothy Izatt. That's a Russian object that was the size of a building, and this was supposedly what they called the vents. And it's distorted AF because of the year this came out. It was no HD. But man, that's amazing that they did that to Dorothy Izatt. They did that to me too. They put the wrong video in.
Dorothy's footage. This has
On
been
purpose.
scientifically tested and declared genuine, or at least not fake.
Bullshit.
That's so funny.
But we know that it's real.
California UFO researchers Monica Ward and Peter Gattilla have thoroughly investigated the Dorothy Izatt phenomenon and are now compiling a book of their findings.
There is a spiritual world and there is a non-spiritual world, a material world, and so forth.
What a
What Dorothy has done,
bullshit.
she's bridged the gulf between the two.
Meanwhile, Dorothy...
Non-spiritual and spiritual world, and she's bridged it. No, she's just a con lady seeking attention. See, she always holds it the same way. In my theory, my breakdown of her, I said somehow she was creating electrostatic charge on her hands that was going into, I think this is the battery that she's holding here. Somehow it was interfering with electricity flow going to the motor that spins the film around. So you slow it down, you're going to get long exposure effect happening. If you stall it, you're going to certainly get long exposure. Because she would use that camera and film, and the other people use normal cameras, high-spec cameras, non-blur cameras, weren't getting the same effect. They couldn't see what she was seeing with her camera, which proves that something's going on to me.
Dorothy simply calls her ET friends life beings, who she says come from...
Light beings. What other shills have we heard that from? Dr. Greer? And Contact in the Desert type people.
...diverse parts of the universe to impart a simple message to mankind.
No one wants to listen to it because it's so simple and it's so easy. It's L-O-V-E. Just love.
Bullshit, that's not hers. Unbelievable. Now, Dorothy...
Okay, so where's the original GUFON if you reckon that's not hers? But it might just prove that she had got access to the same material that he's referring to and used it to fake aliens.
Izatt. I don't think it's my opinion, but I guess it is. Has the most credible evidence of unexplained lights I've ever seen. Probably the best documented ever.
What an idiot.
Yep, and you can see a difference with Dorothy Izatt than you can with Billy Meyer and his little saucers hovering in trees and stupid.
Still fraud there. Two fraudsters using different techniques, that's all. And they conned a lot of people, even MUFON people. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I have done a full live stream on it, and if you missed it, you should watch it. We see some more images of hers, but they seem to try and control using little clips like that of hers, and take your channel down. Funny that. Isaac, here you go. See, she's always holding the camera a certain way. See that? So if I was a scientist, I'd make sure she put rubber gloves on and see if it starts and stops working. That sort of stuff, you know. I'm not sure what these scientists did, but they didn't do a damn thing to try and prove her correct or not. They got suckered in by this woman, could possibly not fake. Isaac. Breakdown. And she also was taking pictures of reflection of herself in the window, claiming to be Bigfoot and all this nonsense. Who went to investigate her? Hynek went along. Stanton Freeman, was it? Canadian she is. Some of the big names out there went along and got conned by her. A lot of people creating all these documentaries, light beings, or using it, you know, all the airheads are using it now. Isaac has proof. But anyway, this annoys the hell out of me. I don't know if it's disinformation or what, but it's not proof of real aliens. Anyway, what's else going around the web? I probably should be wrapping up now. It's 5:30 in it. It was a late show. I wasn't expecting to do too much today. I hadn't had, again, much time to research. Got other things in the way. How long have we been going for? Let me just check first. 3 hours already, is it? Oh, damn. That was a long rant, wasn't it? So, yeah. Security, I don't think they've put out anything new since, have they? No. Okay, we're just skimming through, just see what we got coming up. Third phase. They always got some junk putting up. Okay, so since they've put up the Black Knight Nonsense, they've now got an interview with the congressman from that's also questioned the same way we do about why are we looking at smartphone images and not off the jet's camera system and all that sort of stuff. It's a joke, a cover-up, disinformation going on. But yeah, again, it just gives this idiot more credibility. This guy, congressman, going on third phase shows that he's not really well educated either about who he does interviews with. So again, now that makes him look stupid because he's on third phase being interviewed by smiley face split cousins. Again, that sort of pisses me off that a congressman that has the right ideas to question things doesn't question who he goes on with. Instead of going on to someone that's credible, who would probably be the only person I can think of really would be Martin Willis. Even Rojas and Open Minds is questionable now. Who else would present it? Maybe Fox News, maybe, but they keep putting up garbage, fakes and frauds as well as people being interviewed. So you can't win. So who's out there credible enough to present it? Dolan's gone. He's gone to the dark side. Greer is certainly not reliable. Alien Scientist has also been going on fraud channels, so he's gone. Also, Steve Cambion was a bit questionable there with his actions, being on GUFON, and now he got caught out, which I told her he would be if he didn't. So I warned him to go on GUFON. I said it's all going to backfire on you, and it did. He didn't listen, and he insulted me in the process. Who else is out there? Linda Moulton Howe, totally dodgy now. Dodgy as hell, even though she puts a lot of hard time trying to get interviews with people and finding out stuff. She's very easy to be fooled. Who's credible out there now? It's hard to think of anyone apart from myself. Perhaps I should have interviewed him. Should come to me, a small channel with that's been constantly truthful and honest, and exposing the lies would make more sense, wouldn't it? But anyway, looks like there's not much out there. Third face, nothing. UFO man, just bollocks. GUFON is about the only one that's laughable at the moment. So let's have a look at UFO interest and maybe just wrap up. And let me do more research on my videos, which I haven't had time to even look over still. It's just impossible. The time flies. Okay, let's see what the debunkers are up to. Flying sailboats. Nope. Pareidolia. Is it? Or False Horizon. Right, there's the sailboats. Yeah, it looks like a false horizon there. Okay, so what's that about? This guy claimed to be UFOs. NASA, my new desktop wallpaper. Yeah. So he's getting sucked up on all this sort of stuff as well. Hubble vs JWST telescope. Okay, I suppose we could play that, see how much improvement it is. So, is that Hubble? Or what? Right, there you go. It's like HD camera versus spud cam video. Is this that much sharper? Hubble, is it? James Webb. Yep. Hubble. It just keeps on repeating, does it? See, they're aiming at the same patch of sky. So there's a difference there. And technology keeps improving. Amazing. He would be the conventional, I believe in Einstein and space-time type person, right? He wouldn't question it. And because he doesn't believe in UFOs either. Can't believe that there's no other life out in the universe that's been travelling billions of years to get to us. No, it can't happen. They would die. Not if they didn't need food, just needed water, and maybe eat carbon. Boxes of carbon. Hey, letter S Milo balloon. Seriously, I see a silver Milo balloon. So do I, mate. Speaking UFO spotted soaring through the skies of Bristol. Yeah. So he hasn't put up much either, has he? Back to the school faking video. I think that's it for today. And probably not much happening elsewhere, is there? That's it. Time to wrap up, and I'll see if I can get more stuff sorted out and researched and reviewed some of these crappy UFO documentaries that are being pushed at the moment. So just close that down, and I'll say good night. And I'll see you again in the next episode. Yeah, so always question everything. Planet X, gravitational waves, gravitational lensing, Einstein, space-time. And you'll be better for it. Don't go along with the mainstream narrative all the time. I'll just close that down too. Okay, let's bring up the control panel and say good night. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's show, and check out some of those videos. Watch them fully because I didn't play them all, I just played parts of them. Oh, got it too late. Yeah, just watch all those videos again, just because I only played parts of them, even though I might get done by copyright claim. I don't really care too much. Not many people watch my stuff anyway, so they won't make much money from it. Yeah, so we recapped some of the stuff again. But it pays too. And we proved that Skinwalker Ranch is bullshit, unfortunately. And it's sad.